About to commence the program. And I got another 3 minutes. But before that, I thought I'll tell you what's happening in MMA in next few days so that you don't miss them. All the viewers watching this program live as usual. If you have any questions to the numbers, what is shown on the screen. Otherwise, we'll also have a Mentimeter QR code. You can scan the QR code and send the question. All those who are here, there's a Mentimeter QR code will be on the display there. And can I have the QR code please on the board? So the QR code, you can scan the QR code and send your questions. All your questions will be responded by the distinguished speakers. Now, before I move further, there's an event which is happening on 26th of May. Lead and Grow is our most popular series, and we all know that we strongly believe to be a great leader, to be a great reader, and it's happening on the theme, the greatness guide to maximize your gifts and become a legend. This is Robin Sharma's book. We have three outstanding speakers who will be discussing this. Then we also have a storytelling, the new age brand building strategy that we are doing at the Andhra Chamber of Commerce that we do every month with different organizations, different places. Then on Thursday, the 5th, again, not to be missed event, outstanding event. At least I'll walk miles to listen to this gentleman. From boardroom to banyan tree, a journey of conscious leadership. We have Subha Vaidyanathan, founder, chairman of Satwa. He's come from Bali, Indonesia. And he'll be in Mr. Sham Srinivasan, former MD of Federal Bank. He'll be leading the conversation with Mr. Subha. So this is again a brilliant event. Then again, we have Read and Grow on 19th of June and 4th of July. Please mark your diary. It's our annual general meeting, and also the award function of MMA will be held on 4th of July. Smita Reddy, Managing Director of Apollo Hospital, is kindly agreed to be the chief guest. We give award under 4 categories. We have got some outstanding companies already nominated them. The jury will be meeting soon. And we have invited Mr. Velu. Velu is head of Mahindra automobile sector. He's one of the finest person in innovation. You see so much of innovation, what's happening in Mahindra and Mahindra, various vehicles produced by them. Velu is the man responsibility. Most probably he'll be delivering the keynote address. It's happening here on the 4th of July. Please come. It's a Friday. Come and join us. Celebrate with us the achievement, what we have done for the last 1 year. We've done fairly well. We have done over 800 events, and over a couple of lakhs people have watched. Please come, join us, attend the award function, followed by AGM, and join us for the dinner that evening. It'll be a pleasure to host you at MMA on the 4th of July. Then on 12th of July, again, we have a lovely thing on discussion on the book, another thing. And we also have another event on July. Also, we have done 12th of July is a discussion on the book Read Hide 2.0. It's a book authored by the chairman of AACTE. He's going to be with us, Mr. Sitaraman, co-chair. We got 2 outstanding panel again. The director IT Madras, he'll be one of the panels, and also the Vice Chancellor of Shastra University is also going to be joining us. And we got Lakshmi Narayanan, former Cognizant founder, chairman of Cognizant, is there. So we got a very outstanding panel again lined up for you. It's happening on 12th of July. Then we also trying to do something on the balance of life, because a lot of things are impacting mental health and things. We thought we must do this. The balanced life, building resilience and wellness for management professionals. We got Dr. Madhumita. That is going to be fixed, and she's coming out with some outstanding speakers, doctors to come and share with you how you should take care of your health and what is going to be meeting some preventive injections and what it is. And dietitian is going to come and speak. I thought because our corporate professionals and members were very healthy, but still we thought somebody come and tell us something. I'm quite sure it'll add a lot of value to you. Because you are healthy, I've seen most of you don't eat anything what we give in IT also. You don't touch them. So you're very calorie conscious. So we thought we must speak to you. Coming to today's event, we are indeed privileged to host this event today. When the event happened, I had a short chat with Policy Matters and Satyamurthy. We always collaborate with Satyamurthy, Policy Matters, and Peninsula Foundation, that we must do an event. But we are about to do the event. The surgical strike happened. Then we couldn't do anything. Then we thought we wait for some time and settle down. Then a lot of things are happening. A lot of requests from members. They really want to know and give a clear perspective from very, very high-ranking officials who have seen the operations in different. We got 3-4 outstanding Army and Air Force officers. And we are indeed blessed and privileged to also have with us the serving general, which is very rarely happen. Big round of applause to our serving general who joined us today. Is General Brar is there with us. He also going to share his set the context. Operation Sindoor and after. And I don't know at all, because you all must have seen so many newspapers, watched so many televisions. Anything I had, Again, I'll be adding only more news. Let's hear from the people who are going to be here, who are going to be talking to you with authority. What they are, each one of them are expert in their respective area. Gentlemen, put your hand together to welcome the outstanding panel for this evening. The two gentlemen joined us on online. I'll introduce them later. Those who are in person, I'll request them to take their place on the diet. General Brar, who is a GOC of Dashan Bharat area, PVSM and AVSM. Air Marshal Matheshwaran, AVSM VM, is the chairman and president of Peninsula Foundation. Then we also have Shivatanu Pillai, who will be joining us any moment, is on the way. And our president, Mr. Mali, president of Madras Management Association, Mr. Mali. Then we also joined online Dilip Sinha, IFL's former ambassador and permanent representative to India, United Nations. He joined us from New Delhi. Very warm welcome to you, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to have you with us online. Then we also have with us General Arun, well-wisher of MMA. You all heard General Arun on many times. General Arun has joined us online. He's also traveling, but we cannot afford to miss General Arun for this program. I request them to join. General Arun, PVSM, YSM, SM, and DSM, Indian Army, is joined us. And he'll be moderated by Matheshwaran. He's agreed to share his insights as well as to moderate the session. The format of the program, I'll request now Mali, President of Madras Management Association. You know all Mali, and it doesn't need a formal introduction. I am Kyle and also runs CSM group of companies. Well-wisher of MMA. He is one of the rare presidents who have done a 2 tenure of as a president of MMA. We could do a lot of things in MMA thanks to Mr. Mali's guidance and aggressive support. And now I request Mali to give a formal welcome address. Mali.
Thanks, Vijay Kumar. You're being very kind. It's, I think it's MMA's, before welcoming you, I want to say it's MMA's good fortune that, let him come in. Yeah. Diva.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shivatanu Pillai, founder of Brahmas, who joined us, will be also sharing the thing. You know, Brahmas played a very crucial role. He will be sharing with us how he founded Brahmas.
Good evening, everybody. I think just in time, Mr. Shivatanu Pillai could come. Thank you, sir. It is indeed my privilege and honor and pride today. I'm a very proud man today to welcome each one of you to this very, very special and timely discussion on the theme Operation Sindoor and After, organized by the Madras Management Association in association with Policy Matters, the Peninsula Foundation and Quadrangular Stiftum. I must say that thanks to the leadership of Group Captain Vijay Kumar as Executive Director, we have had some fantastic events on the armed forces over the last few years. Thanks, Vijay Kumar. Apart from the fact that he's been at the Air Force himself, he's very well connected and is able to conceive these events along with his secretariat, I think. And you know what? He almost does it concurrently. As the event happens, we have an event. Thanks, Vijay and your team. We are privileged to have with us today an experienced panel of speakers, an illustrious panel of speakers, all of them having served at the front line, many of them, and experienced it being there. Firstly, Lieutenant General Bar, KS Brar, PVSM, AVSM, GOC Dakshin Bharat, a serving general. As Group Captain Vijay Kumar said, we are very, very fortunate to have a serving general talk to us on this occasion. Before the event, I was talking to him and asking him how the action was, and he said, it's a team. Thanks, Group Cap. Thanks, General Bra, for doing this for us. And I think he's been supporting MMA extensively. Thank you again. Air Marshal M. Madeshwaran, another old friend of MMA and Group Captain Vijay Kumar, a renowned test pilot and currently chairman and president of the Peninsula Foundation, Chennai. Thank you, sir, for offering to moderate this for us. Mr. Dilip Sinha, IFS, retired former ambassador and permanent representative of India to the United Nations, joining us online from New Delhi. Thank you, sir, for taking the trouble for doing this. Dr. A. Shivatanu Pillai, PhD, DSc, founder of the BrahMos Aerospace, who brings a unique strategic and scientific lens to the conversation. Thank you. Looking forward to it, sir. and my dear friend Lieutenant General Arun, retired PVSM, YSM, SM and VSM, former Chief of Staff, Southwestern Command, joining us virtually. Thank you, Arun, for doing this for us. This event is a testament to our commitment to knowledge dissemination, leadership development, and civic engagement. On a personal note, when Group Captain Vijay Kumar mentioned it to me, it took me back, let's say now 54 years, I think. I was an 8-year-old boy when the India-Pakistan war in 1971 happened. I remember even in Chennai, there were blackouts. We had to stick black paper on the windows, and there used to be drills, Air Force drills. And that war took 14 days. Okay. And my images of Lieutenant General Niazi signing the surrender document in front of J.S. Arora is still vivid in my mind in the newspapers. It's a moment when I first experienced what it meant for India to win a war against Pakistan. Fast forward to another 54 years later, this war lasted only 4 days. And it's a real tribute to our armed forces. Thank you, Lieutenant General Brar, and your entire armed forces for making this happen. We are indeed very proud of you, and we are just can't wait to hear from you what happened actually. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Operation Sindoor by itself, the name itself evoked many emotions. It was cultural, it was emotional, and had many connotations. I think what made us all very proud was the way we handled the situation. Whether it was strikes, and we were retaliating to what happened in Pahalgam, where 26 innocent tourists were killed. And the way this war was handled with such precision, a war which was won, I don't know how many times the LOC was actually crossed, and so precise targets without hurting civilians. I think it's, for me, it was a marvel that I never realized the Indian armed forces had such kind of technology and such precision attack capabilities. I think this war demonstrated the fact that Indian Army and the Indian forces have come a really long way in technology, and literally the way wars are going to be fought, in my opinion, has changed forever in my opinion. It's simply fantastic the way it was done, and in 4 days flat before a ceasefire offer was given to us. Today, in the aftermath of the war, there are many pressing questions which may come up for discussion. I think we should get some light on those things. Why did India choose to accept a temporary truce, even if it appeared to have the strategic upper hand? I think that's a question that has been discussed largely and in social media. What are the short and long-term implications of the ceasefire on Indo-Pak relations? How do these developments impact regional stability, and what lies ahead? To address these and more, we're privileged to host this discussion featuring veterans of military strategy, diplomacy, and defense innovation. I must mention in the context, we are fortunate to have in our midst Ambassador Tirumurthy, who was India's permanent representative to the UN. I'm sure he'll be an interesting part of this discussion. Thanks, Tiru. Tiru is a dear friend also. I'm taking the liberty of using that term. Thanks, Tiru, for coming here. I take this opportunity to thank my colleagues on the MMA Management Committee, members of MMA, our partner organizations, CAS, for their continued support, our esteemed invitees from diverse institutions, viewers from across the world who are joining us live. My compliments to the MMA Secretariat, I did that in the beginning, for conceptualizing and organizing this. I just would like to sign off on a very proud note. We in India have many things to be proud about. The way our economy is developed to be among the top 5 economies in the world, our digital payment revolution, our technology prowess, our space missions, etc. But Operation Sindoor is a very, very special moment for all of us. The way we dealt with the world and way we handled the enemy country. I think it's a very, very proud moment for all of us. It's been possible to the armed forces. Jai Hind on that note. Thank you, armed forces, again. Looking forward to a really inspiring discussion. That's the word that comes to me. Thank you. Welcome all of you.
Thank you, Mali, for the formal welcome. And now we'll move on. I'm going to request Air Marshal Mathishan to come and set the context, and thereafter he'll take on. As usual, I said, if you have any question, we use technology very extensively. We've got a Mentimeter. There'll be a QR code there. Just scan the QR code set so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible, because I know Each one of us here, we are expert, we know so many things. If I give the microphone, I know you'll have another lecture from the audience actually. I won't avoid it. That's the reason. Now, before I call upon Air Marshal Matheshwaran to tell, I'm going to introduce the distinguished speakers for this evening. We'll have the Mayor AV, please.
Lieutenant General K.S. Brar, PVSM. AVSM is the General Officer Commanding of Dakshin Bharat Area since 15th April 2023. A decorated officer with nearly 4 decades of distinguished service, General Brar has held key commands across diverse terrains and UN missions. Former Director General Armored Corps, he led major tech projects like Light Tank and Swarm drones. An MPhil holder and IT-savvy leader, General Brar is committed to operational excellence and veterans' welfare. Air Marshal M. Matheshwaran, AVSM, VM, PhD, retired, is a distinguished IF veteran, fighter pilot, and strategic expert with 39 years of service. An experimental test pilot and former Deputy Chief of Integrated Defense Staff, he holds deep expertise in defense strategy and R&D. A PhD holder and Harvard Senior Fellow, Air Marshal Matheshwaran is Chairman and President of the Peninsula Foundation, Chennai. He also advises aerospace and defense industries as a strategic consultant. Mr. Dilip Sinha, IFS, retired, is a former Indian diplomat and permanent representative to the UN in Geneva with a distinguished career in international diplomacy. Mr. Dilip held key roles including Ambassador to Greece, Deputy High Commissioner to Bangladesh, and led India's multilateral diplomacy on the UN Security Council and climate change. Mr. Dilip also served in senior capacities in Brazil, Germany, and the Prime Minister's office. A 1978 IFS officer, he holds a master's in political science from Patna University. Dr. Sivthanu Pillai, PhD, BSc, is a renowned aerospace and defense scientist. As the founder of BrahMos Aerospace and father of BrahMos. With over 50 years of contributions to ISRO and DRDO, Dr. Sivthanu played a pivotal role in India's missile and space programs. A Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan awardee, he has held leadership roles in academia and continues to advance hypersonic technologies and innovation. Arun, retired, PVSM, YSM, SAIN, VSM is a decorated Indian Army officer and strategic leader with a distinguished career in operational commands and UN missions. An IITG rank holder who chose military service, General Arun served as GOC Dakshin Bharat Area and Chief of Staff, Southwestern Command. A multiple gallantry and service awardee, he is passionate about leadership development and has conducted over 1,000 sessions nationwide. General Arun holds several postgraduate degrees across defense, management, and creative writing.
Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to the brilliant panel we have. And I know when we use technology AI, I think they made everybody MD of Sundaram Finance. So fortunately, my senior vice president is not here, but he is safe. No issue. They're all. It's a mistake, typo, what has happened. But I must tell you, apology for the inconvenience. Now I request Air Marshal Matheshwaran to please step forward, set the context, and also brief that the total format of the programs. Air Marshal Matheshwaran.
Thank you. Thank you, Vijay, and thank you, Mr. Mahalingam. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here this evening and fantastic to see a full house. Excited to hear from the experts. We have a wonderful panel. Before we start the panel discussion, which I will give the context before we start and lay down the rules of the panel discussion, it would be in order to welcome the GOC to give his overview and his address so that the panel discussion can start subsequently immediately after that. Right? Let me welcome General Bra.
Jain, Air Marshal Mateshwar, Dr. Pillai on the dais, Mr. Mahalingam, and online Ambassador Sinha, General Arun, distinguished guests, and all members of the MMA fraternity. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate the MMA fraternity to organizing this event on Op Sindoor, which I think seems to be the first, at least in this region, apart from what we are seeing in the TV. So my compliments to you, sir. So at the outset, sir, let me begin by paying on behalf of the armed forces gratitude to everybody, the whole nation, all the people, for really expressing their emotions toward the armed forces, reposing faith in us, and acknowledging our professional competence, technical skills, and valor. So thank you so much, and thank you very much, sir. So time being short, I will straight away dive into the topic. The last 15 days, maybe starting 7th May, 6th May, there has been a surfeit of deluge of information. So most of you are aware of a lot of things. So this deluge has one big advantage, that the nation as such has become aware of the importance of the armed forces. And they have realized then, with the changing geopolitical dynamics, the whole country is at risk if the armed forces don't perform. This realization only dawns when it happens to you, but there are examples many around. You can see Ukraine, what has happened to it. You can see Syria, Iraq. If you don't have strong armed forces, the nations don't exist. So that is why the emphasis on nation first, security of the nation. So that realization, of course, this media deluge, as I said, has done it. But then on the flip side, what it has done is created so much of information where it has caused, I will say, disfocusing from the real issue of what was the thing. So I'm going to just stand here for a few minutes trying to refocus from the information generally available, because something which is confidential will, in any case, may not be shared, but to just put you on the line that what should be the thought and align with we as a nation, so that we don't think separately as this part of the state or somebody who's in some other part of the state or some other kind of affiliation. So coming to the straight, the first Pahalgam, everybody saw that, the Dastardly Act. I mean, I will call it a wimp attack. No man, if he calls himself a man, kills somebody in front of his family. So the most coward people are the ones who do such act. So this was the escalation which Pakistan did. There is more than enough evidence linking, because all the weapons, all the communication, everything. So that, of course, is there, because I'm emphasizing it was initiated by them with a purpose. The purpose had three aims. A lot of people were not happy with Kashmir developing, peace developing, lot of tourists coming, and it returning to normalcy. So you saw the moment this happened, everybody left. So who became the sufferers? The people of Kashmir. The second aim of this attack was to create a divide. that was the manner in which it was created. It was definitely, I don't have to highlight. So, of course, there was the expected reaction, but I think India is a very mature country and there are very, very wise people that they don't fall to such tactics. And the third aim was for the field marshal, or you want to call him a field marshal, to regain. That was the aim of Pakistan Army, to refocus, because internally they were facing a lot of this thing. So whenever they rally against India or Kashmir, so the whole country, whatever their problems are, they come together. So that were the three aims. The only miscalculation was done by, okay, for dignity of the armed forces, I will continue to call him Chief of Army Staff Munir, was that he miscalculated the reaction, because they are very good in narrative building. Balakot would have happened, they would have said, they down one, we down one, and we all question everything. So you say, we are equal. So he will say, Pakistan Army is the one which has saved you from India. But what he miscalculated was what we did. What we did, okay, there's been some videos, you're showing the satellites. Okay, you can start showing. A lot of things has been put up by the DGMOs and everything what has been done to Pakistan. We struck 9 terrorist camps. Now, heart of Punjab and Pak Army, Murid ke Bharpur. Striking there is like striking Chennai. That is the impact. If something falls right next to you, you feel something is there. You struck at every major city. That was the precise act on the terrorist camps or locations. The next day, it was told to Pakistan on DGMO level talk that you escalated, we retaliated, we don't want to escalate. So, Pakistan Army survives on this, that they're better than us, because they can fool the people. So now it was visible damage to the public, because what happens in Kashmir, it is not. So they fool the people to say anything or whatever they want to say. But then it was right in Lahore. It is Bhavalpur. It is Punjab, Pak Punjab I am talking. So, they couldn't hide it. So they had to retaliate the next. So they thought, okay, the next retaliation, maybe India. We got the better of them on the next night. On the third night and the fourth night, they crumbled. They crumbled badly. They were finished. Now, what are the damage done to them? Some of the satellite pictures are gone. All their air bases were targeted, all of them. It is like targeting Bombay, Chennai, Bangalore. I mean, you name the big city, it was targeted, because all their air bases obviously are in cities. And if you target air bases, you target the hangars. Even if you have no information, the hangars has aircraft. Now, there is no official confirmation. Some information is coming out, but it is unconfirmed, so can't be quoted if I'm speaking. Maybe $3 to $4 billion worth of equipment or damage has been done. So, the number of aircraft, huge number. Something which, okay, I'll quote TV, which was visible. The C-130, their advanced early warning system, there was a fuel tanker. Some of the aircraft of the West, some of the aircraft of the Chinese. And radars and so many other things. All this happened, and all this happened when in each of the retaliation, they couldn't hurt possibly even a fly of us. Our air defense stopped each and everything. They carried out a whole narrative, but I am from Punjab. And, you must have heard of Amritsar, Adhampur. I commanded that division, 15th division, which is in Amritsar. The GOC came on TV. I commanded it 7 years back. So I commanded it during Balakot. During Balakot, we had the deployment. Of course, it was some of the things coming up, but I am fully aware of the scenario. I can imagine we downed some, because it never got escalated, but we downed some drones that time. So, we don't publicize, But that time also had it got escalated. So the only damage they could do was, I think one house in Fresh village, lady died, but rest all damage was in LC, across the LC firing, which keeps happening, RT shells, and they can't target army because they don't get, so they punch, they hit a good. Civilians, some civilians, unfortunately, and in the whole of this operation, I think we had just 5, but they had, you have an official record, which has been said 100 plus terrorists. You have seen the funerals and the big names, some of them may not be known to you, have been killed, and you have the army standing next to them. So what does it say? I mean, it is like Hafiz Saeed is this thing. Of course, he was not there. He would have been maybe shot down that time also. So, immense damage has been done. It has hurt the civic. It has really hurt them badly. All this narrative, I will try and speak of it later, is just a cover up. It is a huge cover up. And possibly what will happen to Pakistan, God only knows. But they made a very, very big mistake by doing all this. And they were surviving on telling the nation that we are the saviors, despite having lost every war. But that's how you make your public change and become naive, that they don't even realize that what is correct and what is not correct. So therefore, they have been selling this, but now definitely the public also knows. And what does Pakistan, I think everybody knows that, but to put it simply, Pakistan rules the country. They want to rule the country, so they have to have an enemy. So enemy is India. So they can't fight India conventionally. So what they do? These guys from the poor families, and they are radicalized in thought and give them a larger cause, send them across, and also take care of the families, even give them drugs. So, this is a factory. You kill 100, 100 will come. So the target actually is not the terrorist or these people, which it is the Pakistan army. So the actual hit has been done on Pakistan army, and Pakistan army comprises 90 or 70% of Pakistan Punjabis. They rule the country. Rest of the country is in quite a bad shape. Rest of the regions are in bad shape. So, this is the thing which has been achieved. I won't emphasize more than that. There has been some talk on, you have seen that this 4-day war got closed so quickly. I think this is a marvelous achievement. I will give you an example. I was DG Armed Corps. The Ukraine war had just started. And in the first month, when the Russia was on its back foot, the delegate, high-level PACOM chief and everybody came on some discussions, and one was part of it. So I just remarked, Mecca, this is the time to exit. You're on the winning side. I mean, they had some people who were part of the NSA and other, higher level decision making. They said, no, we will finish Russia this time. Look at their vision and look at their understanding of warfare. Now I want to highlight, tell me, World War, if you go to the statistics, the number of casualties, aircraft ships lost by the West is double the number what has been lost by the other side. It was the atom bomb which made them sign that thing. And of course, Hitler's that thing that I will not get into details. After that, has West won any war? Any country of the West, tell me, which war? Afghanistan, you've seen the state, they defeated around 20 countries getting together against a middle level, not even middle level power. So Afghanistan, they had to exit. Vietnam, they had to exit. Ukraine, they have to exit. So which war have they won? China, have they fought any war? 79 they fought, they got lost. After that, they never fought a war. So what is this narrative? And we have fought every war and won. We have fought insurgency, we have fought JNK. The 62 thing also, where it was a strategic decision for us to withdraw. But wherever we stood, if we were 100, 4,000. You have Joginder Singh PVC, you have Mahavir Chakra, Jaswant Gada. These people stood there. You have Chushul, last man, last round. So, people, this narrative building has to change. So anyway, so this closure was done in a very fine manner. And if we still question that, then definitely we are challenging our strategic wisdom. There are other lessons. DRDO chief, their equipment and everything has been proven, BrahMos, Akash and all. Make in India, we have been trying. This was the result. We have a long way to go because it's a tech war, but definitely our equipment and the equipment which we have, the Chinese and the West equipment has failed. We have won all wars against Pakistan when Pakistan was using Western equipment. So why are we saying Western equipment is good? So, it's again a narrative which has been built on you. So, there are many, many points which needs to be understood. So the closure, when it happened, we have given a decisive action. We don't want, because we don't want to remain in war, because the focus is toward development. We have and there are a lot of people who need to be helped. There are a lot of people who need to be lifted. So that is the focus. Therefore, this action has given us a position of strength, whether you want to so you can do anything. Pakistan has no capability to react because they can only talk now. So now is the other organs of. So in the TV, why I have emphasized this, TV is discussing what I have said is very clear. Please discuss the military ops is done. Discuss something ahead of it. You see, so if people want to confuse, they will confuse you otherwise. So that's why I thought, let me put this thing, military ops is done and dusted. It will put the Pakistan back into, I can't use some other language. They are gone. So where you want to go from here, it is your choice. So that is the other organs of power. So I would have finished here, but maybe a few points. Make in India, of course, is very essential. I have been part of a lot of projects, and I think here also we had 1 or 2 sessions, Zorabar and all this, and one is interacting with all the tech and other things. So this is the thing. And South India, Chennai, and you people are the ones who can really push. And the effort of Indians can really take, because Indian Army, if you rank, they put us some third, fourth. And this third, fourth is not because of what we are, it is only because that we are relying on others. Otherwise, I can tell you, I told you which country has won the war. So, I will talk about UN a little later. So maybe this narrative war you can show. We have ambassadors who are permanent representative and all that. I was in 2-3 UN missions. I was in South Sudan. So I want to give you another narrative which you can show that. Okay, you can show that the video. So this video I kind of proudly show. Coming up. I'm okay for time. No, I'm finishing. It's coming or no? No, not this video here. That's 71. It's a surrender video of 71 war. And you can see they are laying down their arms. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, play that. This is the Pakistan Army coming down and laying down their arms. This is the Brigadier General who's removing his ranks. This is the biggest insult. The 71 war was the biggest defeat in the history. No war has created another country in 13 days. And why I proudly show is that 6 gentlemen sitting there is GOC of 9 who happens to be my grandfather. He is Major General Dalbir Singh, GOC 9 Infantry Division, that time. Okay, you can cut this. Show the next one. Okay, in South Sudan, I was the sector commander. We had Chinese with us. So, Chinese ran away. there was a rebel attack and they ran away. I'm just showing you this photograph. I don't know if you can make out. I marked Chinese. The Chinese are scared of Mongols, and then they're scared of Indian Army Sikhs because the Opium War, the British Indian Army, which comprised mostly of Sikhs, had really had them. So whenever they make their fun videos, they put a Sikh there. So that is how they relate with things. You see the body language of this Chinese. They're not fighters. They are businessmen. And they're scared of this Mongol guy who's standing next. You can see that the body language. Okay, the next show that news where it shows, because you have to show now evidence that they ran away. I tried to make it viral, but the Chinese are so good that they don't allow any negative news and they create a different news. Can you show that news? Yeah, just if you can scroll it. This is a Guardian news. Put this in Google. UNPC refused to help it. Chinese troops abandoned their post rather than engage in fighting. They ran away. Their ICB was hit. Then one had to take on the Ethiopian troops and some Indian company to stabilize the situation. Okay, so this is what they were done. So, okay, you can close this. So this narrative war, which is there, really has to change. As I have given you some examples, our media also, I think, our media, we are very good in deriding one side with the other. But I think, because I can give this example, maybe you'll understand. They were discussing Munir, but they were showing photographs, all media channels. They were showing Munir as if he has done a victory, standing on a tank, standing and talking and examining some equipment and walking as if. They have not shown Indian generals and chiefs in that manner, our Indian media. You should have shown the satellite imageries of all this and discussed Munir. If they're discussing Munir, that why has he become a field marshal? Why are you showing photos which project him in a good light? Do you find any Western media doing that for India? We don't realize what we do. So, I can carry on. And last is, this is a moment of reckoning for the country. Because, next, when China, this thing, Chennai is not in the rear. Chennai is in the front as far as China is concerned. Because, no, I'm not joking. Because even now, they have not done anything. These guys are looking at soft targets, the metros. And China, when you come from the Bay of Bengal, we have strategic installations. So, it is requires really a thought to everybody that security and importance of the security. And as far as the armed forces are concerned, all I can say is possibly the realization that a soldier needs, because, its self-motivation can't carry you. So larger respect, it is not tokenism. Maybe the Agniveers, when they come out, please take them in the industry. When the ESM retires, you can see the army officers, they are the best when they retire. As corporate leaders, as motivational, as technology, as logistics, as administrators. We have example of Group Captain Vijay here. So, that kind of not tokenism by being Facebook warriors or Twitter warriors. Something by which the armed forces, the respect, and sometimes there are turf wars. Because, please also understand, we are fighting an army which is ruled by their army, both Pakistan and China. So if the sensitivity is not there, because in a democracy, this is how it happens. But sometimes we get into a turf wars. Armed forces is a Brahmastra. Keep it to one side, respect it. Don't compare it. People start comparing one organization. We compare with the world. You also compare. The corporate should compare with the corporate world. The CAPFs should compare with Park Rangers. Why are you comparing yourself with us? Any other administrative services should compare with the best in the world. Why are you comparing? We are the protectors. So we are a different creed. So that is all I want to say. Thank you and John.
Thank you, General, for that wonderful overview. We now come to the panel discussion, and it's indeed a great pleasure for me to share the panel with my colleagues, Dr. Sivadana Pillai, Ambassador Sinha, and of course, General Arun. So what I'll do is I will just lay out the context. I'll split my session into two parts. For in the beginning, 5-6 minutes, and the end, 5-6 minutes. I'll request the other panelists to take about 10 minutes to 12 minutes in the inaugural initial comments, and thereafter we will, in the second round, we will bring in a question answer format with last 30 minutes open to the audience for their question and answers. So let me put out the context. Clausewitz famously said, war is an extension of politics. So this particular conflict, I don't call it as war because 2 or 3 issues were perfectly demonstrated by India in this conflict. One, it categorically demonstrated to the world and to Pakistan that terrorism is intolerable, absolutely cannot be tolerated, and therefore we will use force to neutralize any support system that we have for the terrorists. That's one part. Second is, we will cross the border, which we demonstrated during the Balakot strike. And this time, whether we cross the border or not, we are going to strike inside you and wherever you are. And if that escalates, then I will demonstrate my ability to control the escalation. The most beautiful demonstration in this entire conflict was India's complete control of the escalation matrix. And the whole world has understood that part, and that is something we need to understand and appreciate that as well, irrespective of whatever kind of a narrative that you can hear anyway. In any modern warfare, control of the, and in the nuclear environment, that particularly in that context, control of the escalation or escalation dominance, as we call it, is extremely important. And if I put it after the 10th strike that brought them to their knees to ask for ceasefire, I would now translate that into this being the only and the first case of a conflict situation between 2 nuclear weapon states, where one nuclear weapon state disarmed the other nuclear weapon state. That's the way we need to see it, right? And this is extremely important. And this message has gone right home. Forget about Pakistan, to rest of the world. And what is important is we live in a world dominated for the last 500 years by Western powers. The West still calls the shots. They write the rules. And they build the narratives as well. And therefore, when we went to action here, there were 2 or 3 things that were singularly different. One, after 71, and to some extent after 99 Kargil War, here was a demonstration of a clear separation of individual duties. The political leadership did their job. The External Affairs Ministry was in complete control and they did their work. And the military was given complete free hand to do what needed to be done as given by the task given by the political leadership. And that's extremely important. So you go back and visit 1971, one of the most best examples of a war conducted, and it is also a just war that was conducted by India and in the world history. And this was the pattern that evolved over a period of 10 months. Here we took 14 days. And I would say we also learned the lessons from Balakot experience that keep the narrative in your control or keep the escalation in your control. Narrative part, I'll come to it later. But that's extremely important. Second, there was a lot of differences between what happened in Balakot and now in terms of the military, particularly in terms of the weaponry and how that was put together. This was a singular demonstration of the impact of air power and also a fabulous demonstration of the jointmanship and put together by all 3 services. And the reach of the air power, when you have the right weapons and when you put together an air defense system, which is like an impenetrable wall, then you have the complete control in your hands. Second is, you were also able to penetrate the adversary's air defense system and penetrate at will. The 10th strike everything happened in 23 minutes and you were able to penetrate the air defense system completely. And if you look at the geography of Pakistan, it's far more compact, obviously, compared to India. And from 1970s onwards, they've had a good air defense system that keeps it compact and fairly well, defended and robust. They had a Siemens German system in 1970s. And then they now moved in with the Saab AEW systems. They had also got the Chinese replicas of the Russian air defense systems, which is S-300, etc. And more importantly, we started what's known as the Integrated Air Command Control System for India in 2005. And I was part of that development at that point of time. And we decided to do it completely indigenous way. And it's taken and grown extremely well. What does that do? It integrates all your radars, all your missile systems, all your guns, and all your legacy systems. It's all networked. It's all in terms of networking. It creates a common air defense picture, a common situational picture. And you could actually now deal with air defense from any one geographical position to another end and correlate the weapons in that region without even opening out that radar and giving the inputs from another radar. So this is one of the most important one. This gets divided up into an exceptionally important intelligence inputs, which comes from ISR, satellite-based inputs, as well as aircraft-based inputs, and then the human comes into the picture. The processing of the ISR is in real time, and that's extremely important. And then, of course, you have your electronic warfare, your deception mechanisms that are part and parcel of the electronic warfare issues, your SIGINT, your ability to now bring in cyber warfare mechanisms, all that are part and parcel of this entire warfare. And therefore, when the first day's narrative has been built up by Pakistan, we didn't worry about it because we focused on the objectives. And remember what the DG Air Ops clearly said. In war, many things can happen, but what is more important is the objectives that have been given to you by the political leadership. Have they been achieved? That was what was achieved on 10th. So what was the narrative on the first day on 7th, after the 7th morning? If you had got taken in by that and trying to counter that narrative at that point of time, you would have been sort of distracted from your core objectives. And I think the Indian military did extremely well. Ignore that part. Yes, they are building a narrative. There are many other reasons why such narratives become acceptable to some people. So ignore that part, get on to the work and launch your weapons, not in response, but as part of your escalation control. So just remember, when the strikes were launched on 7th early morning, it was not an attack that had any surprise at all. The Pakistanis knew very well we are going to react and attack as a response to Pahalgam. And therefore, the military was entirely prepared. As I said, the Pakistani air defense system was quite well integrated. So for the 14, 15 days, their complete air defense system would have been active 24/7. That would also have a toll on the people who have been part of that entire process. That's a pressure point, right? So when you now launch your attack, they are ready for it. You think we are fools that we won't expect a J-10 to be operating and that they won't launch a PL-15? We are ready for it as well. But our weapon systems and our strike packages are focused on the target acquisition and destruction of the target. So you have large number of aircraft. And if I quote the Pakistani guy who's now the deputy chief is giving a briefing to all the international journalists on 7th afternoon or 7th evening, there are 125 aircraft in the air on that night. And you have any number of BVR missiles being launched. And this is also, he says, it's the largest BVR engagements in the air warfare history. Could be, but we haven't lost anybody. On the other hand, we've got all the 9 targets neutralized. Now, when Pakistan tries to escalate, we've broken through the air defense, we've defended ourselves, and we controlled the escalation. And when they now went further, we increased the pressure points. When they still wanted to go further using drones and missiles, then we've launched the BrahMos, which Dr. Sivana Pillai, who's the architect of the entire missile, will talk about later. Okay. And in 23 minutes, 11 airfields were immobilized. What does that show? That the entire Pakistan Air Force is the best military force of the three services. And that would have been on the ground if we had followed up that attack with a complete launch of a new attack. It would have been decimated. That's the reason they came on their knees for a ceasefire, right? So this is an important point that we need to understand. But this conflict, having brought it to an end, it also raises 2 or 3 very important issues. We have now a new doctrinal change. When the Prime Minister says that any future attack, a terrorist attack, will be deemed as an act of war, you're also tying your hands by saying, I have to react for an act of war. What will that do? Think about it. Okay. Yes, but that's a good message also to be sending out, because we are now changing from being a diffident, very slow reacting power to a firm and a power that will actually use force without any hesitation. There is a famous, formula that was devised by the CIA in the 1960s by a guy called Ray Klein, who measures national power. And that national power has 2 parts. One is the additive part, which just generally measures the population strength, economic power, military power. And then there is a product power that comes in, which is about strategy and the will to follow the strategy. We've always been seen by the West as somebody who's not strong enough to follow through the strategy, even though they craft the strategy. I think that story has changed on the 10th of, between the 7th and 10th of May, 2025. The future is going to be different. What will that impact on rest of the region, on rest of the world? And we are living in a world which is unstable, which is also threatening the 500-year domination of the West. We are pushing for a multipolar world, and these ramifications are going to have a different impact on many other areas. In the chaos and complexity theory, particularly in the meteorology areas, one of the scientists says, if a butterfly flaps its wings in South America, you will have an El Nino effect somewhere else, right? So that's the kind of an impact you are likely to have from this output, and how we follow through on this work that we've done on these 3 days subsequently. I will stop here, and let me now invite Ambassador Sinha to give his initial comments over the next 10 minutes. And I would also place, just to give him an indication, 3 questions. One is, of course, as I pointed out earlier, the Prime Minister indicated a major doctrinal change when he said, from now on, any terrorist attack on India would be seen as an act of war. Does this make for a major change in our foreign policy? What are the ramifications of this change at the regional and international levels? The second one is, what would be the future of the Indus Water Treaty as India has suspended it and Pakistan sees it as an act of war? Similarly, with Pakistan suspending the 1972 Shimla Treaty, does it open the doors for India in its approach to POK recovery, and its position on the LOC? How will China react to these developments? And the third, final one is, India demonstrated the use of force decisively in 1971 and in 1999. But on both occasions, India acted in consonance with international norms or a Cold War superpower supporting us. But this time, the world is different. Could India have pursued Op Sindoor for a longer period with catastrophic consequences for Pakistan, or would there have been the threat of the UN Security Council acting against India? So all yours. You're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Sorry, thanks, I have muted. Thank you, Air Marshal Matheswaram, General Brar, Dr. Pillai, and General Arun. Thank you for inviting me to this seminar and for requesting me to speak and share my thoughts on this very current and an important topic. You have mentioned, General Matheswaran, Air Marshal Matheswaran, about the new doctrine, so I won't go into that. But it is, as you mentioned, and as everybody says, it is a new doctrine, it is a new normal. And it has evolved in other ramifications as well, apart from the fact that we will regard a terror as an act of war. The other implications of it are that there will be no talks necessarily if there is an act of terror, and whatever reaction we have to have may take place at any time in any form. And the other is that there will be no proposal for joint investigations. There will be no offer of sharing evidence, as was done earlier in the case of Pathankot and the case of Pulwama. The other response that we had earlier in the case of Sharm el-Sheikh, after the Mumbai attack in 2008, the two prime ministers met in Sharm el-Sheikh the following year, and there the joint statement said that dialogue is the only way forward. Now that has been discarded, that there is now a clear policy that we will react and we will choose our reaction the way we want to. And Pakistan will be left in a state of uncertainty about how India will react. And that, I think, is the doctrine that will really unsettle Pakistan. Now, when it comes to the global context, that is extremely interesting. That the global context today is quite different from earlier situations, in that the international order is in a state of flux. In fact, there are people who believe that the old international order has already, for all practical purposes, collapsed. And each of the three major powers is busy with its own major either war or preparation for war. In the case of Russia, it is involved in the Ukraine war. The US is involved neck deep in the Gaza war, Israel-Gaza war. And China is busy with its threats to Taiwan and the East China Sea, South China Sea. So this is a situation in which the countries of the world are not prepared to act in unison in any way against another new country or countries trying to go to war. And this is clear in the reactions that we had to our Operation Sindoor globally. So when the terror attack took place on Pahalgam, there was universal condemnation. The Security Council met, they didn't meet, the members met informally, and they adopted a press statement. And even though Pakistan is a non-permanent member and China is a permanent member, the press statement was extremely strong, and it condemned the attack, and it called for action to be the perpetrators to be identified and prosecuted. So that reaction was a reaction that was felt by all the other members, the 4 permanent members other than China, and the 9 non-permanent members other than Pakistan. So that is a new normal for us in the global situation, in that we are no longer outvoted in the Security Council. If you go back to the 1971 war, the war started on the 3rd of December, and on the 4th of December, the Security Council met and tried to adopt considered a resolution calling upon the countries to cease fire immediately. And that resolution had to be vetoed by the Soviet Union. And then there were 2 other vetoes in a matter of another few days. So that global situation no longer prevails. Now, when India launched the Operation Sindoor, the only countries that can be said to have spoken up in a slightly critical manner were China and Turkey. China said it regretted the Indian military operation. And Turkey said that it would not, it supported Pakistan's call for an investigation or a neutral or impartial investigation. All other countries spoke on expected lines. They called for de-escalation. They expressed concern at the escalation, and they called for restraint. Now, that's the normal reaction that any country would make to any kind of military escalation. So globally, our position was fairly comfortable. One can't call it strong because the expressions of support that came to us came essentially from Israel, and it came from, to a certain extent, from France. Because France's statement was that it said that we understand India's desire to protect against the scourge of terrorism, which the other countries like UK, etc., did not do. But the US reaction was also extremely important, because the US reaction from the vice president was that it is none of our business, which meant it took a hands-off approach, which was not the situation in the earlier wars that we had fought. And the other, of course, was the more hilarious comment that came from President Trump, who talked about the war going on for 1,000 years or even longer, that we will ignore. So this is the new normal that we have, and the changed global context in which we were operating. Of course, it was helped by the fact, as you mentioned, that on the military front, the situation was always in our control. We led the escalation, and we were always in full control of the military situation, which meant that there was no fear of the situation getting out of control or spilling over into a nuclear confrontation. And in fact, although Pakistan did mention about its nuclear strength, the fact is that neither country did any kind of saber rattling on the nuclear front. So this was, to a certain extent, reassuring for the rest of the world that the military situation, although there was military action taking place, it was not a situation that was out of control and in danger of exploding into a nuclear war or even a full-fledged war. Although there were some concerns expressed by countries like Japan. Now, you had asked about I'll come to the Indus Waters Treaty after this. I'll take about the Shimla agreement that you mentioned, and the fact that Pakistan has said that it will keep the Shimla agreement in abeyance. Now, the Shimla agreement, one can argue in different ways. It has kept the peace between our two countries. At the same time, we have to accept that the Shimla agreement did not really resolve the issues, especially what Pakistan calls the core issue between India and Pakistan, which is the Jammu Kashmir dispute, as Pakistan calls it. But the fact is that in the Shimla agreement, we agreed, in fact, both sides agreed, that they would not change or seek to change the line of control by force, that it could be changed only by mutual consent. And this was, in effect, an acceptance that the line of control was the de facto border between the two countries. But since it was not called the international border, therefore, it could not be. The final resolution of the Jammu Kashmir issue was left as a kind of an afterthought in the Shimla agreement. And Pakistan has picked upon this to say that the Jammu Kashmir issue still requires a final resolution for which dialogue must take place. But by keeping the Shimla agreement in abeyance, although they made essentially only one or two statements on this, and they have not reiterated that point later, because they realized that if they reopen the LOC and they say that they have the right to change it or we have the right to change it, then India, with its military superiority now, would be in a position to then take over militarily and rightfully what it claims. Because although India claims the occupied areas, India has not taken any military action since 1972 to recover that territory, which we rightfully claim as ours. Nor have we raised the matter in an effective way or done anything internationally to put pressure upon Pakistan to vacate that. So whereas Pakistan constantly raises the matter in the UN, our reference to Pakistan occupied Kashmir has essentially been in our general statements in the General Assembly, which is more as a statement of policy than a statement of proposed action by us. Coming now to the Indus Waters Treaty, this may actually well become the most lasting consequence of this 4-day war. Because this war, as we know, was essentially a demonstration of our capability and a kind of a knock on the head for Pakistan. But we realized from the very beginning that these strikes would not put an end to terrorism. But the Indus Waters Treaty, for those who have gone through the treaty and have seen it in operation over the last, 65 years, it is evident that this treaty was extremely unfair to India. It was extremely one-sided, and we gave up far more than we should have, either in terms of our fair share of the waters, and we did that without there being any international law on the sharing of river waters. Now, when you look at the fair share of water, what we got were the three rivers, what is called the eastern rivers, the rivers that flow through Punjab, starting from Himachal, going through Punjab and flowing to Pakistan, the Ravi, Jhelum, Ravi, Satluj, and Beas. And Pakistan got the three rivers of the north, or what they call the western rivers, the Indus, Jhelum, and the Chenab, with India being allowed a very limited amount of use of these waters. And India being allowed also to use some water for irrigation and some water for non-consumptive use of water for hydroelectric dams. Now, on paper, it seems that there were three rivers for India and three rivers for Pakistan. But the fact is that the waters of the eastern rivers, the rivers in Punjab, carried only 20% of the water. And 80% of the water are in the northern or the western rivers. And that is given almost entirely to Pakistan. Now, this is unfair because if you look at the share of the Indus Basin, and the whole Indus Basin, which spreads across India, Pakistan, Tibet, and Afghanistan, Pakistan has 47% of the Indus Basin. India has 39% of the share. So technically, in terms of the share of the basin, we should have got at least 37, 38% of the water, but we did not. And Pakistan claimed the water essentially on the basis of what is called the concept of prior use. They said, see, if anybody who is familiar with the canal system in pre-partition Punjab knows that most of the canals were in West Punjab, but they drew their water from the eastern rivers, which is Ravi, Satluj, and Beas. So they claimed that since they were using the water much more than India was, therefore they had prior use. But prior use is only one of the disputed principles that is used in international law on the sharing of river waters. The other principle is called the Harmon principle, which was propounded by none other than the Attorney General of the US himself in a dispute with Mexico. And Mr. Harmon said that the country where the river flows, that country has sovereign rights over the water. So you have two completely divergent principles: sovereign rights of the upper riparian and prior use of the lower riparian. And in between these two, there is no agreement. There are some things called the Helsinki rules that were formed by the International Law Association, which is a non-government body. The UN has adopted an act which is called the convention, which is called the Water Courses Convention, but that's been ratified only by 43 countries. China has not ratified it, India has not, Pakistan has not. Bangladesh now plans to ratify it, but that's about all the situation. So you do not have a clear international law on the sharing of waters, and yet India has given up 80% of its water to the lower riparian. So this was, and in this, the rights of the people of Ladakh, Kashmir, and Jammu were completely sacrificed. So it was very unfair in terms of the overall sharing, and totally unfair in terms of the rights of the people of Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh. So the Indus Waters Treaty should be kept in abeyance. And the other point about Indus Waters Treaty, if I just have a few minutes, is that the Indus Waters Treaty, even though Pakistan got 80% of the water, it got an excellent deal. Pakistan kept objecting to every project that we had that we are trying to build in Jammu and Kashmir. So our dams, are not our dams, our projects on the Jhelum River, on the Chenab, Pakistan kept objecting to them and dragging us to the dispute settlement mechanism. Twice we won in the dispute settlement mechanism, and yet Pakistan kept taking us back. Then we proposed to Pakistan that it's important to revise the treaty, to modify it, to bring it in line with new technology, and to remove some of the anomalies in it. And Pakistan completely rejected out of hand our proposal. Now, this treaty does not have a termination clause, which again is a violation of international law, because the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties says that if there is a fundamental change in circumstance, then a treaty can be revoked. But the Indus Waters Treaty does not have an exit clause. So I think it is against prevailing international law, and it is unfair to India. So the fact that we have kept it in abeyance, I hope, is the first step towards abrogating the treaty and telling Pakistan that if they want to have any kind of cooperation, then they must come and negotiate a new treaty with us, which will be fairer and take into account our interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. That certainly it's a right step towards crafting a new and a fair Indus Water Treaty. Let me now invite Dr. Sivadanu Pillai, the architect of BrahMos missile. And the BrahMos missile is the hero of the conflict, if I may put it that way. It was fired in 3 versions: the Air Force version, surface to surface version, the Army version, surface to surface, and the air launch version from the Su-30, the cruise missile from Su-30 as well. Dr. Pillai, all yours.
Good evening to all of you. Respected Air Marshal Atisharan and the panelists, President of MMA, Mr. Mahalingam, and Group Captain Vijay Kumar, who prompted me to come here, and the distinguished guests. Greetings to all of you, because we are all very happy that we have done a good job. It's a victory for India. Victory for the people of India. We look at it, victory for political leadership, victory for all the diplomats, victory for armed forces, victory for scientists, victory for all the industries, public and private, victory for everybody. So it's a war proved that India is a different type of country. We have to become a member of the Security Council. I think we have got our Mr. Tirumurthy sitting here, who was the UN. So it is necessary that we should put our strong case to be a member in the Security Council. Who else is powerful today? We are the only country who can give peace to others, or propagate peace to others. All countries are fighting among themselves, Only we can do that. You see, economically, we are having the highest growth rate, GDP growth rate today in the world, more than 6.5%. You see the military might, we have proved the network-centric warfare first time in the world. We operate, stop. That is the trend we have done. We see our 800 million youth, who has got? We have got the power, largest democracy in the world. And above all, we have got a civilization heritage. We look at all these things, who is qualified to be a member to give peace to the world? Only India. So India should be a member in the Security Council. That our diplomats now, they should act. Now it is their time to put the case very strongly. Of course, Mr. Putin was telling again and again, he is supporting India to be a member with veto power. He said that. When he visited BrahMos, he said that. So now, this operation is a very demonstration of the power what India has got. Strategy, quickness, decisive. Then the stopping the war in the right time. That's all shows our maturity of thinking and undertaking a war of this type. No panicking. Our armed force in an integrated way. This is the first time you see all the forces joined together an integrated way. We demonstrated integrated warfare. There is a knowledge-powered warfare, AI-powered warfare. We have done that. So this is a very, very 600 drones came. 600 drones. We demolished them. So like that, the war theater was dramatic, and we have proved our might. Now everybody has to learn from us. The big powers, they have to learn from us. We talked about BrahMos operation. You all have seen in the TV. They are overplaying about the BrahMos now everywhere. So it's, Dr. Abdul Kalam, he started in 83 at IGMDP, Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. So there he conceived 5 projects, named them Prithvi, Agni, Akash, Norgan, Trishul. And he wanted that to be totally indigenous, because all the big powers joined together immediately and imposed MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. What does it mean? No country will support us. They all joined together, promoted by America first, then all other countries joined together, that bandwagon, all joined together, said we will not give any support. No support came. So Dr. Kalam said, we don't want support, let us make it. What is needed is, what we make should be top in the world. That means we need technologically different, and we should think about futuristic and warfare, and also you should evolve a new methodology for the design itself, new things. For example, all the ballistic missiles go in a ballistic trajectory. That is a parabolic trajectory. Our Prithvi does not go like that. It goes in a maneuverable trajectory. We cannot find out where it goes. It will go like this, go like this. The trajectory itself is different. First time it is conceived by Indian youth. Similarly, we have done the accuracy we don't have, because best systems are not available. So, but we have to make it accuracy. So the 4 young people joined together and they injected software into hardware first time, made a revolution. We are getting now accuracy less than 10 meters. So that type of thing is a power. We were denied of the supercomputer. That Dr. Kalam went all the way to Washington to tell them give one supercomputer, create something. But they didn't give. They gave only lunch to him. So he came and he told, so we are helpless. So saying young people joined together and said, no, we are not helpless. We will make it. So in 2 years, 14 young scientists, they have made a supercomputer which was 20 times faster than the Cray XM. And each of the design of our Agni shape, which was, you have to do that shape because we don't have a hypersonic facility to test it. We cannot do the re-entry, but we have to do everything by software. That's called computational fluid dynamics. We did that. And for each of the shape, there is 1 lakh grid points which have to be analyzed. With the usual computer, it was taking 9 days. With this computer, what these people have made and the software developed by Indians of Science, we could reach less than 5 minutes for each. From 9 days, we came to 5 minutes. This supercomputer was the evolution. That was the first time a supercomputer was made, even before Param. And now we are talking about petaflop computers, quantum computing. We have gone much beyond. What the world is doing now, we are doing. We are doing 6G. Like that, anything you take, we are in that stage. It is not that India is already a developed country, except that few pockets of poverty is there. We are very much advanced. Our scientific talents have been proved here. If you see that operation, our talent has been proved. So this is what Dr. Kalam did. Then we launched Agni successfully, 89, and 92nd launch was there. There was a problem. Then he put a committee with me as a convener. We found out the reason and then we succeeded. Then he said, okay, now we look at the scenario today, and technologically, we are behind others. We are fourth country, fifth country, sixth country, we are saying. When will we become first country? Like that, he thumped. And he told, you take a break and come with an idea. So he sent me to Harvard in 91. So 91, when I was Harvard, that was the time the Gulf War was taking place. That gave me a clue because the more than 500 Tomahawk missiles were launched by the Americans, quietly coming and clearing of all the air defense systems of Saddam Hussein. Then they bombed. So cruise missile is the one which can go down. It doesn't fly up, flies low. Radars cannot pick up. Go and finish off all the targets before the enemy wakes up. So this gave the clue that we should introduce cruise missile into the thing. And also that time Patriot was used. So I gave 2 points to him. One is we should have cruise missile, and one is defensive, ballistic missile defense. So he said, you come back, then we will work out. After my coming back, we started thinking about how to do it. He gave an idea. You see, cruise missile is a new baby for us. You go to Russia, because you are already working with them. We were working on underwater technology, we were working with them. So he said, you go and find out from them whether they have got any cruise missile technology which they can share. So that was in 91 onwards, I tried, 91, end of 91. 93, they came to us. So they showed me the engine. This is the supersonic engine developed only by Soviet Union. No other country has got. If you use this supersonic, your missile will be supersonic missile. Why do you think of cruise, just a cruise missile? Think of a supersonic. This is what Dr. Effermo, Director General of the NPOM, he was advocating supersonics. So then we debated, and then Dr. Kalam formed a committee with me there to further discuss and then work out how to get the technology transfer for the engine. Finally, we landed not technology transfer, a joint venture. So they will give the engine, because if you take the technology transfer and try to do, it will take time. Maybe 15 years it will take. So quickly you have to realize supersonic cruise missile, which is not available in the world. So why not we do it? So that means you can become number one in the world. So that in that direction, we formed a joint venture. Joint venture means they said we are pauper now. After 90, the Soviet Union collapsed and the whole of Russia was in a very bad condition with Elstein getting 3 times heart attack. So there was a problem there. So they said, we don't have money. We will give some technology. You put the money. Some $700 million they asked, said. We said, nothing doing. Joint venture means you have to put. So 50-50. First we started with 50-50. But you have to put. They said, we don't have money. We gave an idea to them. We are reimbursing our purchase of the MiG-21 long back, credit to be purchased. So we were reimbursing in kind. So we said, okay, from that we will take. So finally that was debated, discussed. It took 1 year between them. I had to go 100 times to Russia to stand before them. Finally, we got it through. So then the percentage question came. Finally, they agreed for the 51, 49, 51 for India. For them, 49, they agreed. But I did not agree to that. So Dr. Kalam said, let us go and meet Narasimha Rao. It was in 95, I am talking. So Narasimha Rao was defense minister and prime minister. So in the afternoon, after his nap, he was very fresh. So that time we knocked at him. So Dr. Kalam presented what is the joint venture, we are thinking all those things. So he was very patiently hearing. He doesn't react. He is the president who doesn't talk but thinks. The prime minister. Okay, so then in between I said, sir, this will make India #1 country in the world, I said. That time he was looking like this. So face changed, So you are imagining he was trying to criticize me. Then I explained why we are #1. Then he said, so what do you want? I said, you make it as a private company. you are giving money as a government fund, but make it private. I cannot work with this finance and other people. Your procedure will take time. I want to have my own procedure. So what do you want? 50.5 for India, 49.5 Russia. So this immediately agreed. It's a new experiment. You do it. But it was a top secret project at that time. Prabhu's was a top secret project. So he said that, what is the time frame? I said, 3 years will fly. So then we signed 91 CSV, but he was out of the scene. If he wanted to do the nuclear test, we prepared the nuclear test during his time. But unfortunately, we could not do that. So he thought he will come back, but he didn't come back. He lost the election. Then he told Vajpayee that, no, this is the one we arranged, you must do the test. So Vajpayee and himself, they are very close. Only politically they are different, but ideologically, nation, they both of them looked in a big way. So what happened? Mr. Vajpayee did the test. Okay, that's a different thing. So that is the time we signed the agreement also. February 98, we signed the agreement with a lot of difficulties we had to go through, and we signed the agreement. Before that, we did the design. It's very carefully what we have done. 98 is this procedure will take time. So we formed the team. Our team was in Moscow, and when Mr. Venugopalan, he's a propulsion engineer who headed the design team. So we put him there, and we worked out, and the design was ready. So the 98, we started thinking about the money coming, because our money came immediately, but Russian money didn't come, so it took some time. So by the time Dr. Kalam also moved out of DRDO, that was the thing. So, but we continued, got the money, we did all the development. We made a tripartite agreement. That is the Russians, what they have to do, what the DRDO has to do. It was signed by Abdul Kalam as DRDO chief. And I signed for the BrahMos. So TFS signed a framework, how we should do it as an exclusive program. Then George Fernandez was the defense minister. I told him, I will not go for L1, L2 quotation and all those things. Okay? Because you make it a mess by doing that. L1 will be useless fellow. Finally, we have to give. And it will take time. It will take time. I don't want to do that. I will do that. So I will put a procedure. I have evolved how it should be done. So he approved that. So based on that, whatever contract we have given, 2 things we achieved. One is 50% of the money for our development came from Russia. It's a free money for us. All development, we are using the system. But 50% of the money I got it. They thought they are smart, but we became smart. Second thing, all the industries which I have signed contract, all on single tender basis, with a condition that they have to invest for production. So I gave a guarantee to them in an MOU that once if the production order comes, you will be the production agency, you will not change it. Under that condition, they put all the investment facilities were built. See, without spending money, we have got everything done. And 20,000 people were identified full-time basis to work in the country. So like that, we started doing that, and finally you have seen a lot of things, tests are going on. So Navy said that we have to go for user trials. I said, what do you want? User trial. So 20 tests, this test. I said, nothing doing. You want to see a test with the warhead, put on a ship. So they put a ship, we put the warhead, with the warhead development tests are not done. But we did that and finished off their ship, the explosion. So they saw that, then I said, we don't want to use a trial. We accept the missile, they said. So all our ships are having today propose. Some of the ships have got 16 missiles. Every 3 seconds, the missile can go against 16 targets. Now we have positioned 3 ships in this operation, all of them having BrahMos. That if the war would have continued, Karachi would not have been there. That's a type of preparation. So that was the plan. So then we thought, why not we give to army? This was our thinking, because in the contract with the Russians, it should be used only for Navy. But we wanted to violate that. So we demonstrated to Army Chief, General Singh, J.P. Singh, J.J. Singh. Okay, 5 minutes. So we put that with the GPS, we did that test. We showed him he wanted to see 2 tests, full 2 tests were there. Then they said, no, we don't want this type of target. We want to put our own target. They put. That was the time we had a little problem. The GPS, we used the GPS, which that was the day this Obama was taking us, becoming the president. So they switched off that GPS, the Americans. So our missile did not hit the target, went down. Then the army said, no, there's a problem with this missile. I said, nothing. We will solve it within a month. We'll demonstrate. So within a month, we demonstrated, hit the target. Whatever target you want to give. Any target we hit. Then they said, you have to repeat 2 times. Okay, we repeat 2 times. We repeated 2 times. Then they said, oh, you put 3 regiments, immediately we give order. So army gave immediately 3 regiments like that. Then we wanted to do it for Air Force. So Air Force, this is a heavy missile. So we wanted to make it a shorter, a little weight less, because these 3 tons, we made it to less than that, 2.5 ton. 2.5 ton can be carried only by Sukhoi 30, and only 1 missile to be done. So then the Russians said, if they don't have this system, the air system. So they said that we will make the air system, we'll demonstrate that. You give $250 million to us. So when they said that, our people thought, what is this? These people are trying to ask, they will modify our own Sukhoi. They will do everything. The reason is Sukhoi design details are not available with HAL. So the people, when we do any technology transfer, this is what we should see. We should get full technology. Half technology if you take is a problem. Then I said, I will get the design. We took 2 aircraft, completely instrumented, did all the types of flight regimes, and characterized to this one. Finally, I gave a design document. They said, mission control is the control, that what they use for the computer. That has got their software. You cannot do anything. You cannot put a missile there. We modified the software. We decoded the whole. So like that, we started doing. The Russians were very angry with us. So the Russian president, Medvedev, told our Prime Minister Manmohan Singh that these guys are doing something. It should be done only by the Russians, not by Indians. So then I was told, you pay $250 million. That's not much money to do it. I said, no, I will not do it. Prime Minister instruction to that we should work with the Russians. I said, this is an opportunity for us to demonstrate that we are capable. So then they asked how we are capable. Then I told all these things, how we have done that design, how we have done HAL coming up, all those things, we explained everything. Then our government agreed, yes, you can do it. By the time Putin came, so when Putin comes, there is no problem, because he knows about us. He was part of us in decision making. He came to our headquarters. He inaugurated our complex, everything. So he was part of us. There was no problem. So we could finally make it working, air version, which Russians don't have. See the difference. We are partner to Russian, but at the same time we put them down. This is the air version which Air Marshal Matiswaran was talking about, air version. So this is the story of air. Like this, we have to go through all these difficulties to see that the system works. Finally, if you see, the 3 things are there. Precision. You have to hit the target. We wanted only 0. No 1 meter. 1 meter they are saying no. 0 CEP. Circular air probability should be 0. Second thing is speed. We are the fastest cruise missile in the world today. Speed. Then kinetic energy. Because of the speed, velocity, energy is half mv square. Velocity square. So we are 9 times superior to Tomahawk. So that is how the whole thing, you go there and you will see only destruction. So when we were, we'll take 2 minutes, sir.
Okay.
When we were showing these different exhibitions, one exhibition, the Pakistan delegation with one general came. So they thought first hesitated, but they started asking our people, it is in Abu Dhabi. So the general wanted to know something. Our people could not talk to him, he is Pakistani. So they said that our MD will come and talk. So I went there. So he asked, what is this? What is the seeker? How do you home on? All tricky questions he asked, I answered everything. Then he said, this is a fantastic missile. You should not sell to others. No, the idea we have come is to sell others only. Best product only we can sell. So you are going to sell to the Middle East? Yes. Will you sell to Pakistan? I said, sir, this is a free delivery item for you. So I have written all these things in my book. There's a success mantra of Brahmos, one book is there, forwarded by Abdul Kalam. There, that book, where is our friend? Sir, please show that book, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pillai.
So there I have written this. The general, I did not name the general because he will be in trouble. So I did not put that. But I have mentioned this. Similarly, I have some other stories are there about the Americans. Big incidents are there because everybody has understood the power before we used. They have understood. So that was the story of BrahMos. Today we have got in large numbers. Our armed force, though they are very good in use, but they will say it is not working, it is not ready, all those things they will say. So to cover that, all the technical positions were made by us.
It's now proven. So
Storage, everything we made by us. And
it's now proven. So it is now proven in the conflict.
proven now. So thank you so much. He's asking me to.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pillai.
So only last word, war is not over. Only we did the operation. War is not over. They are not going to keep quiet. We will have problems to come, but we have to keep ready ourselves. We have to be ready. Don't assume that everything is over. Now we have to be very conscious about the situation and we have to prepare ourselves. So Brahmas will be there in large numbers, no problem.
Thank you.
Got five production centers today.
Thank you.
Production centers. More than 20,000 people are working. We are now started exporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pillai. Thank you. Yeah, may I now invite General Arun, and I would place 3 issues with you. One is the Op Sindoor is an example of excellent jointmanship, perfect integrated planning and execution. How does this portend for the future of op planning in the context of CDS and individual services? Second is, of course, the doctrinal change announced by the PM. Does this imply a full-fledged military punitive action in the future? What does this imply for our future military strategy and the escalation matrix? And the third one is the air defense has performed exceedingly well, and the AACC has projected a robust impenetrable wall while we demolished their air defense. Army tactical air defense stitched together by Akash Tir performed extremely well. What shape will this now take in the future warfare, given the fact that drones, missiles, AI, and cyber warfare will dominate the initial phases of the war? Will our approach to China change with this experience? Arun, all yours. Yeah.
Jai Hind, Vanakkam, and thank you for this opportunity. It was fascinating listening to the 2 preceding speakers. I'll start with the ambassador. It was absolutely, it warmed the cockles of a soldier's heart to hear a diplomat, a very senior ambassador who's been the permanent representative in New York, talking of a robust diplomatic policy. It is music to my ears. Abrogating the Indus Water Treaty, brilliant. It is as muscular an option as diplomats can do. So thank you very much, sir. May your tribe increase. Thereafter, Dr. Pillai, it was absolute pleasure. I am willing to sacrifice my time to listen to you speak for some more. People like you make India possible. People like you make it easy for soldiers like me to execute what we have to do. People like you make it easy for India to stand in the Committee of World Nations in the manner in which you do. So God bless you, sir, and thank you very much. I will give a month's pension now to come and listen to you speak wherever you are. I will certainly buy that book and read it. So thank you very much. So coming to a couple of things before the specific questions that you asked me, you talked of the chaos theory and the little butterfly. Now that little butterfly, sir, in South America actually does not know that it can create a hurricane in Florida. But this Indian butterfly knows exactly where a hurricane can be created and is aware of its power. That is the new India, which is not just muscular, but it's no longer shy of its muscles. Now, whether it's our cricket team or whether it's our country in general, I have constantly argued that we are reticent by nature and we are shy of showing our muscles. Well, that India has changed. This new India is muscular and is not ashamed of its muscles. And we should not be ashamed of using our muscular power. Soft power takes us to a point. I am probably a hawk. You could call me a hawk, although I wear a kurta and a pajama these days since I'm retired, but I'm still a hawk. Now, that brings me to international order. Sir, you argued that some people are of the view that international order has since collapsed. I am certainly a vocal proponent of that view. I am not even sure the United Nations should exist in its current form. I would go out on a limb and say we should pull out of the United Nations for a moment and watch what happens then. Out of the 193 or so members, I think 125 will fall out. Because the Security Council and the P5 do what suits them. They do nothing else to better the world. Apart from the other arms of the UN, I'm only referring to the peacekeeping, the DPKO operations. Now, that having been said, sir, the Prime Minister made those statements, and what are the implications? I'm clubbing all your three questions, sir, into one. It's quite a challenging thing because I have just 30 seconds to do that. So, political objectives. What did we gain from Operation Sindoor? Tremendous gains. Politically, we clarified what the cost will be to Pakistan in a case of a similar misadventure. And that cost has been elucidated by General Brar and by Dr. Pillai, both in men, material, reputation. Now, reputation is very important because the Pakistan military had for long, since I was commissioned and I was in service, prided themselves on their air defense systems. Now, that myth lies in tatters today for a multitude of reasons. I think that has changed. Indus Water Treaty, sir, you've spoken about. You spoke about a new normal. Now, this new normal actually states that so far we keep looking to other powerful nations for some kind of a support or a vote. My recommendation is we should stop doing that. If some country didn't stand by us, if they were midway through in making these polite noises which people are supposed to make, it's no big deal. I think today we are more than big enough to wage our own battle, and we neither need anybody's permission nor consent to do it. And I think that has been amplified more than clearly. Now, in terms of psychological objectives, we've struck at a depth which we hadn't struck so far. Now, more than the physical damage that we have caused, 100 or so kilometers into their hinterland, it's the psychological effect of that strike, which will have a more lasting effect on what Pakistan does in future. I think that is huge. Resolve. The resolve to commit resources to conflict and control that escalation, which Air Marshal Madheshwaran so beautifully explained, I think was demonstrated in huge. The other objective that we may have had but not clarified or amplified in so much detail is a deterrence. what my desire was is that we should have amplified what we define by a terrorist threat. So now it's already started, the hair has already started getting split. So people have started saying major terrorist threat. So how do you define what is major and minor? Were those killing of 3 terrorists in Sopor minor? I would have argued that that is also a terrorist threat, and that should have been followed by one more, probably Dr. Pillai's babies. 3, home delivered free of charge, like he said. So where do we draw that line? How do we take it? Are we really in control of an escalation matrix? That is something we'll have to ponder about in future. But for a present display, fantastic. Now, in terms of strategic implications, for a long time, I was the chief of strategy for the Indian Army. So if I don't speak about this, I will not do justice to the pay I drew there. So we successfully moved from restraint, from strategic ambiguity, if you wish, strategic ambivalence, if you wish, strategic restraint, if you wish. We've moved to calibrated deterrence. And we have shown that with each escalation, we will not only control, but dictate and shape the next stage and level of escalation. So I think that has been displayed. This is a huge strategic implication for us. The strike envelope has got expanded, not just in terms of the kinetic energy that we've delivered, but in the manner in which we have delivered it by using or marrying all the powers that we have at our disposal, which talked about network-centric warfare, about the marriage of the 3 services, about the networking of the different missile systems, about the use of the multiple layers that we have, whether it be offensive or defensive, that has been adequately amplified. Now, whether it was done as a consequence of a strategic change in the doctrine that we apply, or it came because of what we had to do, and now we had to actually craft a doctrine and remodify our tactics and training procedures, that is something that the militaries will do now. Destroying Pakistan's strategic assumptions and aspirations, the leader of the Muslim world, the only country in the Muslim world to have an atomic weapon, seemingly a spokesperson for all things, Islam, at least that is the way they portrayed themselves. They provided defense umbrella to many other powerful, countries which sought there. Now, I think that market, that belief, that assumption, that image has got completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. Tri-service jointmanship, sir, you use the word jointmanship. I don't like the word jointmanship, sir, because joint actually means a joint. 2 things which are joint. I like the word integrated. Because in typical carpentry, the word joinery is used. So joinery still means 2 separate entities joined together. Now I'm saying integrated. I think that integration has been, from the fact that all the 3 services were represented at every conference, every briefing, along with a very, very senior official of the Ministry of External Affairs. I think it showed great synergy and integration, not just within the 3 services, but also within the whole of government approach, which we have always argued for and never quite found. I think we found it. And I think in this little window of Pahalgam and the 2 weeks and the 4 days of conflict, we have discovered many things about ourselves as a country and an army and a whole of government, which we didn't know existed. And I pray to the powers that be that we don't let it go away. Before the iron gets cold, we should mold this system into something that is robust and we can be proud of. We've shown that we don't need any permission or international consensus or support from anybody. It doesn't matter. If many nations didn't stand by us, it doesn't matter. We did what we had to do. We pulled off when we had to do. Conference after conference, it has been stated that we had limited objectives. In this case, specifically to destroy terrorist infrastructure, which we did. How I wish, like hell, we had taken out one of the 2 or 3 major terrorist leaders. That would have been the icing on the cake. That will happen in some time. And I think that message is now loud and clear to those across the border. One last tactical implication for us, which may unfold. Now that Pakistan has realized that where our threshold is to launch a military strike, I am conscious of the fact that all the terror groups that operate out of Pakistan in our country will now drop that threshold level, which means there going to be a likely resurgence of a larger number of smaller terrorist attacks? Yes. Is this likely to create a problem? Because it is very easy to see an airfield. It is very difficult to see a single militant or a terrorist. So that is something we need to be conscious of. And I'm sure the parts that we are working at all of this. So last question that you asked was about the air defense umbrella and our implications. Now, a lot of equipment that was used in this conflict was both of Chinese origin, probably made in Pakistan, probably made in China, and some of it American origin. Much of it has been countered effectively, but has all of it been countered? That's the question. Second is the quantum of numbers of equipment and tonnage and effect that was used and the cyber capability of the adversary. Are the Chinese a different cup of tea? Yes, they are. But we've tested our might against one adversary and come out shining. Do we need to prepare for another adversary? Certainly, yes. Will the war unfold in the same manner? Certainly not. Because like we are analyzing it, you can be sure across the border and across different borders in different countries, multiple people are analyzing how this war unfolded and how we calibrated our actions. Are we a threat to anybody else? Absolutely not. But they are going to be conscious of our increasing muscular power. This is not an India which is only going to do yoga and Bharatanatyam. We will do a Bharatanatyam picture delivered through a Brahmos. And thank you, Pillai sir, once more. So that is what has changed. With the Chinese, I think a recalibrated doctrine will factor in what the threats may be, consequent to threat assessment. Last but not the least, Pakistan is not even a worthy adversary. I'm sorry, Group Captain Vijay sir and your honorable audience, we have actually wasted 2 hours talking about an adversary which is a non-issue. We have grown way beyond that. We are not even in the same league anymore. We should be talking about the bigger fish. So that is something we need to be very conscious of. Now, have we made no mistakes at all in this conflict? Are there no areas at all where we can improve? Is it only supposed to be celebratory and, a pat on the back? That is something for us to analyze indoors, behind closed doors, and we must do that. Because only then we will go from what we are an 85, 87, 89% to a circular error probability of 0. So that the next war, when it unfolds, we retain a similar posture at the end of the war. Last thing is, you're sitting in Chennai, most of you all at least, which is the home of chess in India and the home to so many of our grandmasters. The end game must be very clear to us when we move the first pawn on the board. And that is something I think will shape our doctrine and our strategic thought going forward. I have finished. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, General Arun. That's wonderful. Vijay, can we have 5-10? Yeah, so we have about 15 minutes for questions. Yeah. Anyone who wants to ask a question from the audience here, you can raise your hand. No? On the QR, okay. It'll come here? Okay. No, they've put it on this thing. Or in the meantime, anyone wants to ask a question? Okay, it's come here. Okay. We have a question on how would you compare the air power dynamics of Operation Sindoor to other global air operations like Gulf War or Israel 6-day war? Okay, now as I pointed out, I don't like comparing with Israel. Israel is too small a country, one. They were good professionals and they have, since 1973, they do not fight any country. We are dealing with state power. big state power. Second is Israel's 6-day war was a preemptive strike. Ours was not a preemptive strike. Ours was a very calibrated, punitive strike, which the enemy well knew was going to happen. And then we dealt with them. So we are dealing with a significant military force, and we are dealing with them effectively in a manner in which it needs to be dealt with. And that is a clear evidence of the professional competency of the service. The next question is for Ambassador Sinha. Why has the Western diplomatic narrative been hesitant to fully endorse India's actions, despite clear evidence of restraint and strategic precision? Ambassador Sinha, would you like to answer that?
Well, I would say that while there has been no direct and clear statement of support, if you compare the Western reaction to earlier situations, you find a clear movement in favor of India. The US statement that it had nothing to do with the situation with the war was a great improvement upon earlier situations in which the US would come down very heavily on India and ask for a ceasefire and ask for direct talks. This has not taken place this time. The US intervened only when Pakistan called it up and asked it to intervene. And that's when the US called us and we said that it's for the DGMO of Pakistan to call our DGMO and ask for a ceasefire. Otherwise, there was no appeal from anywhere in the West putting pressure upon India not to either to stop or not to launch the Operation Sindoor. So that I think is a great improvement. We must realize that the Western attitude towards Pakistan has a long history, and that is not easy to change in the context of the Western, especially American links with the Pakistani army, where they look upon their relations with special soldiers as a factor of some kind of stability in Pakistan, because the army is what keeps Pakistan stable, and the Americans, because they have a direct line to the Pakistan army, have a certain soft corner for it.
Thank you, Ambassador Sinha. The next question is, what lessons from the BrahMos program can be applied to evolving precision strike systems in the light of Operation Sindoor? This is for Dr. Sivadanu Pillai.
So presently what BrahMos has got is a seeker, which is a radio frequency seeker. And it has got the system like inertial navigation. So all through it will go by inertial navigation, which cannot be jammed. And the coordinates should be given correctly. Today, the requirement is coordinates have to be given correctly. That means the person who operates, he should give precise coordination. That coordination comes to you from a satellite or different means he is getting that. But in future, we don't want coordinates. We want to hit the targets. For that, we are now developing a new seeking system, which is called scene correlation area navigation. That means the scene will be already there with the onboard of the missile. It will go and map it. It will correlate. And where is the some small hut melted is there, it will pinpointedly it will destroy. So that is what we are now trying to do, so that the accuracy is totally, it is available. Even though we are not able to give the coordinate, it will destroy the target. This is one thing. Second thing is we are increasing the speed also. We are now from Mach 3, we are going to Mach 7. 7 times faster we are going. So when you go for 7 times, this correlation becomes very, very important, more than the coordinates. So that's what we are looking at to improve the accuracy. If our Navy decides, all the ships of Pakistan will be out, because that's a very accurate because of the seeker system, which homes on is a radar seeker. All the ships can be destroyed. So when it is land target, hidden land target, there only we need more effort to hit that pinpointed accuracy. We have to do that. So that is what we are looking at it. Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Pillai. Next question to General Arun. How can military-civilian synergy be improved to better manage the information narrative during operations like Sindoor?
Vamsi, I don't know if you're from Chennai. When I return, come and have a coffee with me. I'd love to speak with you. I love your question, buddy. So, an army is only as good as the nation that supports it. If the armed forces didn't have the support of the country at large, these operations would not have been possible. Now, with reference to information war, see, we are about 1.4 odd billion people, of which, if you take away the 0.5 million or, 0.5 billion, you still have about 800 or 850 million users of a handheld device, which is capable of transmitting, relaying, creating, positive images of ourselves. And you see any number of them. You will always remain our silent information warriors. That is the first thing. The second thing is in terms of support. I think Jal Brar mentioned something like that. That is one thing. The third thing is, supporting the national cause and the national narrative. So when it's a time of conflict, everybody has to rise and do their little bit. So when that soldier's family, so this is a conflict that never escalated to the next level. But should it have gone to the next level, we would have had multiple casualties on both sides of the border. After all, when there is a war, it is impractical to expect no casualties on one side. So tremendous support is required there. Tremendous support is required in the furtherance of the positive narrative, both as a country and as an armed forces and as individuals. Rest of the support outside the information arena sphere is to be able to neutralize the negative, subversive, and probably destructive capacity of cyber warriors from across. Now, when we fight a larger conflict, there will be a larger number of these people. So every little bit that you can do, and I'm sure our new doctrine, as we expose ourselves to what the community of our societies can do to further the information war, I think we will seek your support, public support, a lot more vocally and openly. What you've done for the armed forces in this conflict is priceless. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. And one last question. Sindoor demonstrated superior technology and strategy. A stitch in time saves 9. Similarly, good relations, diplomacy with neighbor countries help. Threat to East Coast by China via Sri Lanka is a question he's put there. I think I'll request Ambassador Sinha to look into that and answer this.
Well, as General Arun pointed out, this war with Pakistan was really, in a sense, an unequal war. Pakistan is much smaller than us. Pakistan's economy is a shambles, and Pakistan's technological capability is also extremely limited. For us, the bigger challenge comes from China. And in the case of China, for the first time in our history, the threat comes from the same power, both from the north and from the south. This is the first time in history that we have the same power that's threatening us from the land border in the north, also is a challenge to us in the south, in the oceans. So there you have a problem. There, China's economic strength is extremely high. Its ability to reach out to countries with aid and with assistance is very high. Its pockets are deep, and its military capacity, especially naval capacity, is extremely strong. So this makes it a formidable challenge to us. And while the Operation Sindoor has been a success, we have to learn lessons from it to prepare ourselves for the bigger challenge, which would be from China, both across the land and the sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And I just want to clarify one issue on the information or the narrative part. Fog of war, as defined by Clausewitz, is an essential part of war, which creates uncertainty. So as we moved along in the later part of 20th century, we started getting into a concept known as real-time awareness. So because surveillance and all these sensors started providing, and you could process the data and get real-time awareness. So everybody thought, whoa, the fog of war is going to be a thing of the past. We will know exactly what we are, and with networking, etc., even a soldier will know what exactly is happening around them, and therefore war can be prosecuted effectively. Technology brings its own fog of war. Okay, and it becomes even more complex. And now with social media and these kind of activities that have come in, earlier perception management was done by the governments and the top agencies, which was a top-down flow. Today, people do perception management from bottoms-up flows. So you're fighting the fog of war, you're fighting perception management, and therefore narratives are one massive jumble of confusion. It takes a long time to take away those noodles and then get to the real story. So internet, as I say, is 80% trash and 20% is gold mine. You have to really search that gold mine. And similarly, to work around this constantly, perception management, which we've seen in the context of Ukraine war and the Gaza war, much of the media outlets are managed by the Western countries. They dominate the world. They propagate the narrative, but that narrative, the world has realized that are trash. And therefore, there are many ways of people trying to figure out. If you go on Twitter, you will realize these stories are completely different if you want to see how it is actually the real truth. And that is important for us to actually remember. So in times of war, the fog of war is a very, very critical element. It will never go away, just as war, as Plato said 2,500 years ago, only the dead have seen the end of war. War will always remain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Narasimhan. All, I know if we had time, we could have gone all through the day. And thank you so much. And over 1,100 viewers are watching this program. Sorry, you sent so many questions, but when we went through the questions, most of the answers have already been shared by the people during the speech. Thank you so much. Ambassador, we are separated by distance. General Arun, you are not there. So on your behalf, we have made a digital memento for you. What we do is we on your behalf, we present poor school children books so that important people like you come and speak. That brings us a lot number of viewers. And thank you so much for joining online from Delhi and Pune. General Arun, we'll catch up soon on your return to Chennai. Now I'll request Ambassador Tirumurthy to join us on stage to present a memento of distinguished speakers for this evening, Mr. Tirumurthy, and also I request other committee members who are present here to join us on stage. Maybe Sundaram and Yes, sir. I'll keep it the level. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know Mr. Shivatana Pillai's lack of time. I will assure you we'll have one exclusive session with him on success story, how it was done. So we should know about Brahmas, how we can keep delivering more missiles freely. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Ambassador Sinha, and thank you, General Arun. It was a great pleasure sharing the dice with you all in the evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen. Till we meet again. Bye-bye. Good night. Wish you
Thank
safe
you.
journey
Pleasure,
back.
sir.
Right.
Lovely meeting and talking to you, sir.
Right,
Thank you, same to you, General Arun.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, all the best.
right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.